Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Karis May, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Lance Corporal Andrew Douglas. We warmly welcome the family of Major General William Holmes, whose story will be read shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from around Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors. To commence this evening's ceremony, I invite you all stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was a vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 120,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and other operations for over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Major General William Holmes. William Holmes was born in Sydney on the 12th of September 1862, the son of Captain William Holmes and his Tasmanian-born wife, Jane. Captain Holmes was Chief Clerk at Headquarters, New South Wales Military Forces, who had come to Australia in 1845 as a private in the 11th Foot. His wife's father was also in the 11th Foot. Young William lived in Victoria Barracks and attended Paddington Public School. Surrounded by military culture, it seemed inevitable that he would become a soldier. He joined the 1st Infantry Regiment of the New South Wales Military Forces as a bugler in 1872 at the age of 10. Holmes' father, however, believed that the public service offered greater opportunities. After working at the Sydney Mint, Holmes joined the accounts branch of the Department of Public Works as a clerk. By the age of 32, he was Secretary of the New South Wales Metropolitan Board of Water Supply and Sewerage. On the 24th of August 1887, he married Susan Ellen Green, whose family also lived in Victoria Barracks. The couple went on to have a son and a daughter. In October 1899, Holmes volunteered for active service in the Boer War. Although he was captain at the time, he accepted a demotion to lieutenant in order to serve overseas. On arrival in South Africa, his unit was issued with horses and joined the Australian Mounted Infantry Regiment. Promoted to captain, Holmes saw action at Rensburg, Hulteneck, the Zand River, Kroonstad, Johannesburg and Pretoria. In June 1900, he was wounded at Diamond Hill. Invalided home, he led the returned soldiers in the Federation procession in Sydney in January 1901. And he received a shower of praise, gaining the reputation for personal bravery, ability and capacity for command. He was awarded the Distinguished Service Order and Colonel Auxiliary Forces Officer's Decoration, promoted to Lieutenant Colonel and mentioned in dispatches. When war was declared in 1914, Holmes was chosen to command the Australian Naval and Military Expeditionary Force, a volunteer force specially raised in the first week of the war to capture Rabaul and occupy German territories to Australia's immediate north. This achieved, he was appointed to command the 5th Brigade within the Australian Imperial Force, which he took first to Gallipoli, where it was involved in fighting at the Neck, and then to France, where it took part in bitter fighting at Pozieres and Fleur in the Somme. A newspaper article around this time described Holmes, "His moustache is a symbol of him. It is one of those faultless moustaches exactly suited to his face. Beautifully curled, glossy, accurate, neatness and precision are the keynotes of his character." In January 1917, Holmes was promoted to Major General and made Commander of the 4th Australian Division. After commanding the division through the disastrous Battle of Bullecourt, he saw success at Messines 2 months later. Shortly afterwards, on the 2nd of July, he was escorting the New South Wales Premier, William Holman, near the battlefield when a stray German shell burst alongside and fatally wounded him. He died on the way to a field hospital and was buried at La Troye-Aubray British Cemetery near Armentières. At the age of 55, he had been appointed CMG, awarded the Russian Order of St. Anne, had been mentioned in dispatches 4 times. Holmes was the highest-ranking Australian soldier to die on the Western Front. Official war historian Charles Bean expressed his admiration for Holmes' fine qualities, transparent sincerity, energy and great courage, describing him as one of Australia's most eminent citizen soldiers. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Major General William Holmes, who gave his life for us, our freedoms, and in the hope for a better world.
Could you all please stand for the ode and last post?
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We would like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.